Okay, all set.
All right, so this week we're going to be talking about the respiratory system. And I'm just going to throw it as a reminder that we do not treat or diagnose. So this is for educational purposes only. However, we will be talking about what the respiratory system is, the parts of the respiratory system, conditions of the respiratory system, and how to treat with natural remedies. So just like in any scientific study, everything will be done in single herbs, single essential oils. It's never formulated, but I have thrown in how soul fits into this. Okay. One of the things that we learned on our training the other night with Lydia is she said, you start with the 4-month program and then you start treating the other things. So it's like, I went through the 4-month program, but I'm still having issues with hot flashes and menopause. That's when we do that, right? I went through the 4-month program and I'm still having maybe asthma issues. Then we deal with this. But a lot of the respiratory stuff, other than asthma, are things that maybe come and go. And things that, like occasionally we get a common cold or we might get a sinus infection. And how do we treat those with natural remedies then? So the respiratory system is a series of organs responsible for taking in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. The primary organs of the respiratory system are the lungs, which carry out this exchange of gas as we breathe. We have red blood cells that collect oxygen from the lungs and carry it to all parts of the body where it's needed. And during this process, the red blood cells collect the carbon dioxide and transport it back to the lungs where it leaves the body when we exhale. The human body needs oxygen to sustain itself. A decrease in oxygen is known as hypoxia, and a complete lack of oxygen is known as anoxia. These conditions can be fatal. After about 4 minutes without oxygen, brain cells die, which can lead to brain damage and ultimately death. So parts of the respiratory system include the lungs, the nose, the nasal passage, mouth, larynx or throat, or the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, and the bronchi. So there are key nutrients that can help to strengthen the respiratory system and help us build resilience, preventing the respiratory tract from succumbing to infection and inducing irritants from allergies. Okay, so there's garlic is potentially antibacterial and antiviral with decongestant and expectorant properties that can help keep the lungs clear and ward off infection. My very Italian father-in-law used to be like, just eat garlic for everything. There's a reason for that, right? Just eat garlic, just eat more garlic. Garlic contains a substance called allicin, which when it's crushed turns into an unstable compound called allicin. And in the body, allicin converts to immune boosting enzymes, sulfur, which enhances the ability of the white blood cells to fight viruses and germs. Raw garlic is most powerful because it destroys some of the sulfur compounds. So add raw garlic liberally to salads and dressings. Citrus fruits contain immune-enhancing vitamin C and phytonutrients, bioflavonoids, both which have anti-inflammatory and anti-allergenic properties that help calm the airways. During pollen season and when those pollens and stuff are circulating in the air, if we eat plenty of citrus fruits to reduce irritation, it can help open our airways and boost our immunity. And if we succumb to a cold, it can help with speedy recovery. So there's a reason why a lot of people might go to, emergency because of the vitamin C. However, that is synthetic vitamin C. And we know that our body can only absorb less than 10% of the synthetic, but up to 98% of actual food or a plant. So that's why turning to foods with citrus instead of, a highly sugary drink is better for us. Mushrooms, we know, are a great source of vitamin B. They also boost disease-fighting white blood cells, as well as the oxidant selenium, which studies have shown boost the function of the immune system and prevent free radical damage to cells and tissues. Wild mushrooms are cultivated in the light and increase their immune-enhancing vitamin D. Mushrooms also contain beta-glucans, a type of soluble fiber that supports disease-fighting white blood cells and boosts immunity. Fatty acids, so ocean plants like seaweed contain fatty acids known as polyhydroxynated fatty alcohols, or PFAs, and they have excellent anti-inflammatory properties. Things that clear your sinuses are things like, you may know this because you eat these things: chili peppers, hot mustard, curry, horseradish, and wasabi. They don't just add a powerful punch to foods, but they also help open the nasal passages and clear sinuses. Also, staying hydrated, first of all, helps prevent snoring. We're going to talk about snoring because that came up in my books, and I was like, oh, that affects my life. So drinking plenty of hot water and herbal teas help maintain hydration levels, but also overall body functions. They also help us maintain good levels of mucus, stop secretions in the nose and the soft palate. It helps it from becoming stickier, which is triggering snoring. And of course, consuming things like antioxidants. So matcha, which I didn't really know that, is actually crushed green tea. I didn't know that until the other day. But we also know that yerba mate is more nutritious and has more antioxidants than green tea, and that is in our cinnamate, but that helps reduce airway inflammation. So I always like to say nutrition is definitely part of the equation, right? There's a reason why we turn to certain foods when we don't feel good, when we're sick, things like soups that have some of these things in them, right? Because it helps us feel better. Herbs with healing or soothing effects on the respiratory system can also support well-functioning immune system and enhance breathing. We have some herbs that are natural antihistamines, like nettle, which we have and are vital. There's things like protective berries, like elderberry. You hear people all the time, I do elderberry syrup, or I'm going to get some elderberry syrup, right? We have tissue toning herbs. These are especially important for people that are maybe susceptible to snoring, right? Things like raspberry leaf. I think that is in one of our, I can't think, but when we get down to it, it'll be up there. And sage, what they do is they tighten and tone the tissues around the mouth, soften the palate, and help breathing. And of course, there's lots of things that help us boost our immune system. So echinacea and golden seal are just two examples, but we also know that there's several adaptogens in our products that help with a boost the immune system as well. And I actually really, really love essential oils for the immune system. I am somebody that used to have a lot of sinus infections, knock on wood. I've not had one since starting Soul. And essential oils really are my go-to. So they can be really effective as decongestants. Things like cedar wood and sandalwood, which are in some of our oils. We don't have peppermint in our oils, and I think a lot of it is because it is a hot oil, and really most people should not be applying it to the skin, but just diffusing it. And I know that most of our oils, we want it to be safe for everybody, but peppermint is amazing for calming fever and keeping the sinuses clear. We have some throat calming oils like helichrysum and thyme. I swear helichrysum is in one of our oils, but I couldn't figure out which one. And I think thyme is too. But what they help do is they have a calming reaction. So if you get this occasional tickle in your throat that can develop into a cough, it can help. So even like when we have talked about, I don't know if you can see me right now, but, putting oils, on the sides of our throat here, it can really help with that tickle or that cough. And there are lung supporting oils like Ravensara and frankincense. Both of those are in some of our oils that are antiviral and antiseptic that offer protection against germs and boost the immune system. So I'm going to talk about some of the conditions of the respiratory system, because congestion and inflammation in the respiratory tract can lead to a range of conditions. And we can use natural remedies and foods, right, and key nutrients and staying well hydrated to relieve respiratory symptoms and reduce the duration of infections. as well as boost our general immunity and lower the occurrence of infection. But also reducing stress and getting plenty of rest is really helpful for recovery. So part of it is being proactive in doing things that can keep these things at bay. And then if they do come, what can you do to help them go away? So allergies, 40 to 60 million Americans are affected by allergies, and the numbers seem to be on the rise. Okay, so allergies can be caused by a blocked and runny nose, sneezing, watery eyes, headaches, impaired sense of smell. I guess not cause, well, maybe, I guess. So I guess those are more symptoms. But for some people, allergies can be life-threatening, which can, lead to an acute inflammation and shortness of breath, also called anaphylaxis, right? So people who suffer from allergies are told to avoid triggers, but that's usually nearly impossible, especially if it's seasonal allergies. It's one thing, it's a food allergy, you can totally avoid that. But seasonal, you really don't have a lot of control over that. And we have changing immune systems, right? And there can be changing imbalances for a host of reasons. So that's why a lot of people with improper diets are more likely to be exposed to environmental toxins that can cause allergies. So what's amazing is that there are several essential oils and herbs that can serve as natural and safe ways to address allergies and boost our immune system. Some anti-inflammatory herbs act like a natural antihistamine, and they can help soothe and have anti-phlegm remedies. So nettle is a powerful herb with antihistaminic properties that is inside our vital. Quercetin is known to reduce symptoms of hay fever and seasonal allergies. That is in Excel and Soulclear SI. And eyebright tones and calms inflammation in the lining of the nose and eyes and is anti-phlegm. Also, this is in Excel and Soulclear SI. So you're going to see a lot of these things just repeated over and over again. And there's a reason for that. It's because these things have been researched and they know that they work as far as helping with parts of the respiratory system. So I personally love using essential oils for allergies. I carry a roller ball with me because I feel like it helps me so much. So they have expectorant, anti-inflammatory, and immune boosting essential oils for relief from allergy symptoms. We have eucalyptus, which clears the lungs and sinuses, which can help circulate and reduce allergy symptoms. Those are located in our comfort and contentment blends. Peppermint, which is not in our blends, but I will tell you, I always keep peppermint in my house just because of my respiratory issues, because I feel like it helps so much. And I put it in my diffuser and even mix it with some of our blends because it unclogs sinuses, soothes scratchy throats, and acts as an expectorant for relief of allergies. Ginger is inside our courage and confidence blends. It contains anti-inflammatory properties that improve symptoms of allergies. And lemon, also in our confidence and contentment blend, supports lymphatic drainage and rids the body of impurities. So we have these 4 essential oil blends, right? And you can kind of see that pretty much all of them in one way, shape, or form. Not so much the blue one, but the other 3 specifically as throughout here, you're going to see you can't go wrong by just picking one and using it because it's probably going to help, okay? Because there is something in each of these that's probably going to help with issues. I guess maybe all of them are here in some way, shape, or form. So asthma is a respiratory challenge that causes bronchial mucus spasms, swelling in the lung lining, chest tightening, wheezing, and increased mucus production, all of which can make it difficult to breathe. Attacks can be triggered by allergies such as pollen, dust, mold, and animal dander, chemicals, weather changes, exercise, stress, and certain medications can also trigger an attack. Asthma medications have lots of side effects. They can affect the endocrine system and the immune system and contribute to yeast overgrowth and osteoporosis. For asthma sufferers, herbal remedies and essential oils may provide some much needed relief. So some of the herbs for asthma can help treat to relax the dilation of the airways, reduce inflammation, and act as an expectorant to expel mucus. So quercetin, which we just talked about, that natural antihistamine, okay, it is actually naturally found in citrus fruits. So when we've talked before about what's in Excel and Soulcare SI, we've talked about the quercetin and how it comes from mostly the pineapple in the Excel, which kind of makes it for why it tastes a little bit like pineapple. Ginkgo biloba is inside our Soul Complete and our Avant Greens. It has inflammation. It helps, I don't know, there's a typo. It helps reduce inflammation and hypersensitivity. Thyme, which is in our Cinnamate, is a lung tonic and an anti-spasmodic, releasing and opening the airway. It's an anti-inflammatory and expectorant, which I think I said that twice. But so essential oils can also fight infection, offer emotional support, and calm allergic responses, which can contribute to asthma issues. So frankincense is in our Balance and Courage. It helps relax the breathing. Eucalyptus, and you're going to see these repeated, so I'm not going to repeat all of them, but they open up the airways and provide bronchial restriction. Peppermint, thyme, again, thyme is an antibiotic and an anti-inflammatory, which helps improve asthma symptoms and respiratory issues. And ginger, which is in our Courage and Confidence, reduces mucus and inflammation in the respiratory system. And I think it's when we were talking about Soul, one of our products, either the Soul Clear or the Excel, we talked a lot about phlegm and mucus in the body and how, we need a balance of that. We don't want too little because it protects us from certain things, but we don't want too much either. And so being able to have a healthy level of mucus will help reduce inflammation. And so when we have issues, we usually have too much mucus, especially in our lungs or in our respiratory tract, that needs to go out of the body. So cough it up, blow it out, whatever. Bronchitis is inflammation of the bronchial tubes, which brings air into the lungs and often follows a cold or a flu. So antibiotics are most commonly used to combat bronchitis, but conventional medicines can also lead to damaging side effects, such as digestive issues. And in cases of acute bronchitis, conventional antibiotics usually have little value because the root cause is viral. So we can treat those instead with herbal supplements and essential oils. So echinacea boosts the immune system function, and also try formulation that includes golden seal. Vitamin C, so once again, that's amazing. So vitamin C is actually really high in our Renew and our Avant Greens and how that supports the immune system. The thyme in Cinnamate, and I know so many people say that when they get sick with cold or flu, they're drinking hot Renew and Cinnamate throughout the day to help with their symptoms. Mullein is an herb that soothes the mucosal lining and is an anti-inflammatory, relaxing action that is also an antibacterial that is found in our Excel and Soulcare SI. As far as essential oils go, oregano is in our Comfort Blend. It is a antibacterial and antifungal properties, helps fight inflammation and viruses. Eucalyptus, which is found in Comfort and Contentment, works as an expectorant, helping us clean the body of harmful microorganisms. Peppermint again, thyme again. Cedar Atlas is in 3 of our blends. So if it's no, not necessarily. I was going to say if it's in these, they're in the single oils too, but never mind, I looked that up. Sometimes Cedar Atlas is one that was added to these 3 things, but it helps to break down mucus. So, you could put, you can just put it on your chest, right? You could put it neck, chest, but even just rubbing it on the chest can really help open up those airways and help you get that junk out. Yeah, I always joke because my mom ends up with bronchitis once a year. And I'm like, yeah, what I do is all hoodoo voodoo until she gets bronchitis. And then, can you bring me some herbs and oils? All right, common cold. Catching a cold is often inconvenient and unpleasant. It is also to some extent preventable doing certain things, right? So natural remedies not only boost resistance, but they can also shorten the duration of the illness if you do succumb to the virus. There are over 200 viruses that cause the cold. And what I learned recently is once you have one virus of the cold, you will never get that virus of the cold ever again. So it's another variation of the 200 viruses, which I thought was kind of interesting. So cold viruses take up residence in the lining of your nose and grow, eventually attempting to affect the body. If the body is weak or unable to resist germs, it will get sick. So despite what some people think, cold weather, large tonsils, or other wives' tales do not make you catch a cold. Evidence does not suggest, but evidence does suggest that stress and allergies can increase the chance of getting a cold. Colds can last anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks, and some common symptoms include stuffy nose, low-grade fever, sore throat, cough, and body aches. So once again, we have this echinacea and elderberry that people will use frequently to help fight colds. Garlic, so making soups and stuff with garlic would be amazing, or even just trying to get some of it raw. But we know that our Soul Clear SI and our Renew, both of those things are great for clearing up the common cold. As far as essential oils go, Ravensara is in our Lift and Comfort blend, and it's an effective antimicrobial. Thyme, again, lemon supports lymphatic drainage to help overcome a cold quickly in a couple of our blends. Ginger relieves congestion, eucalyptus and peppermint. So I put these down here because peppermint's not in there, but eucalyptus is in there. So you're going to see a lot of repeats of these single herbs or oils and herbs. So coughing is a protective reflex to clear your lungs and airways of mucus and other irritants. A cough can be nothing more than your body's natural reaction to an irritant, or it can be a symptom of an underlying illness. Coughing is generally caused by an infection, such as an upper respiratory infection, a sinus infection, pneumonia, something like that. But it can also be a non-infectious cause, like asthma, allergies, even GERD. I just have to laugh right now because I do a lot of coughing. I have a lot of allergies. And so I'm like, people probably freak out and think I have, coronavirus every time I go out, but I'm like, it's just allergies. It's the story of my life. Okay, so certain herbal things that help with this vitamin C. Once again, we know that Renew is really high in vitamin C. The thyme in cinnamate, the mullein in the Excel, and the Soul Clear SI are really, really helpful for this. Especially drinking Renew and cinnamate hot as you have a cold, or even any of respiratory illnesses, hot is really going to be key. We can even open up this Soul Clear SI and put it into either just hot water or into our cinnamate or into our Renew and drink it, because it has a different effect hot than it does cold. You never want to drink Excel hot because that affects the herbs in the blend. But whenever we can get these other three things in, especially hot when we're not feeling well, it's going to be really helpful. Oils, again, we're going to see a lot of repeats in this. The peppermint and eucalyptus to open things up. Lemon orange is kind of new. There is orange in one of our blends. I think I put that down here in one of those, but it's that, once again, that citrus, right? And that cedar atlas, again, helps break up the mucus. I know that for me, I always keep, like I have a diffuser right there. I have a diffuser by my bedside because I have so many allergies and just depending on what's going on. But I have felt like diffusing the oils in the room has helped me more with like chronic cough than anything else. So especially while I'm sleeping at night or whatever, just smelling those things have helped calm the cough. So pneumonia is an infection caused by a bacteria or virus that inflames the air sacs in one or both lungs, which cause them to fill with fluid. So for most people, pneumonia can be treated at home, and it often clears up within 2 to 3 weeks. But in older adults, infants, and people with other health issues or a weakened immune system, it can make them really, really ill. So about 1/3 of cases occur in people over 65, and you may be more likely to exhibit symptoms of the disease after having a cold or the flu. And these illnesses make it hard for your lungs to fight infection. So it's easier to get pneumonia. So having a long-term or chronic disease also makes you more likely to contract pneumonia. And symptoms include cough, fever, fast or labored breathing, chills, nausea, diarrhea, chest pain, and extreme fatigue. So some of the herbs that we can use, once again, elderberry and echinacea, but we also know that, drinking some Renew hot and putting that Soul Clear SI into that hot water and drinking it that way is really helpful for this. Once again, some of the same essential oils here, eucalyptus and peppermint really kind of open up and help you breathe. Lavender and clove are new here. So they are really effective in fighting candida and staph, which can be a cause of some pneumonia. And so those are in our Balance and Courage blend. And once again, ginger, because it helps reduce the inflammation. Okay, so the sinuses are air-filled pockets or cavities within the bones of the face. They have many functions that include warming and clearing the air that we breathe. Cleaning the air that we breathe. And they help to resonate sound. When they become inflamed, infected, or blocked by a buildup of mucus, it can result in sinusitis, which can cause tenderness and pain around the cheeks and forehead. Causes include respiratory infection, allergies, nasal polyps, and even a weakened immune system. Symptoms of sinusitis include fever, weakness, fatigue, cough, congestion, and mucus drainage in the back of the throat. So I remember back in the day when they used to always prescribe an antibiotic, and then I remember when they stopped prescribing antibiotics, because I used to get a sinus infection 2 to 3 times a year, and I was like, what do you mean you're not going to give me an antibiotic? It's because it's viral. So unless it lasts more than 10 to 14 days, it's viral, and you should be able to naturally overcome sinusitis without an antibiotic. The first time I ever did this, I was actually doing foot baths, which we talked about. I don't know if there's a lot of guests on here or not, but which we've talked about a lot and how that helps. The first time I ever did that, somebody said, let's do a foot bath. I was totally cleared of that sinus infection in a couple of days, and I was shocked. This is before I was using any herbs or essential oils, but since, I treat with herbs and essential oils. So herbs can help calm and heal the lining of the sinuses. They can also help fight low-grade infections and help clear congestion. These actions in turn promote the flow of liquid and reduce inflammation to ease pain and improve sinus health. So colloidal silver, which is one that I actually bought one of Chris DeVillier's books on silver, which is amazing how many things that stuff can do. And I bought some for the house, but that can actually be turned into a nasal spray to help with sinuses. Nettle, which is found in our Vital, has anti-allergic and anti-astringent. It's also toning and soothing, which aids in the decongestion of those tissues, but also, once again, Soul Clear and taking Vital. So, the fact that I drink Vital every day, and I know there's several of us, I know me and Sarah Spencer specifically have really good testimonials about using Soul Clear for allergies, sinus infections, that sort of thing. Essential oils, once again, a lot of the same things, the eucalyptus, the peppermint, because it helps open things up and help us breathe, thyme and lemon. So I really like to keep these, diffusing in the house, but another thing I will do is I will put drops of oils in my palms, cup it over my nose, and just inhale deeply, because that really kind of helps open all of this up. And I'll do that, 2 or 3 times a day. That really is helpful to help open up these nasal passages. Snoring. I have a snorer that sleeps with me. Don't tell anybody. So there are two types of snoring. There's palatial snoring, which is caused by the vibration of the soft palate, while the tongue snoring is caused by the base of the tongue restricting airflow at the back of the throat. So both types can reduce sleep quality for both the snorer and their partners. There are certain herbs that can help tighten and tone the soft palate to reduce snoring. Astringent and anti-inflammatory herbs can reduce swollen tissues and excessive saliva. So raspberry leaf, oh, I thought that was in, oh yeah, raspberry leaf is actually in our good vibrations. I can't remember if it's in Avent creams as well, but it's in good vibrations. And it helps, acts as an astringent and a toner lining the mouth and palate to kind of soften that so that the snoring goes away. Those are really the only things they're in, but I'm actually a huge, what I like is essential oils for breathing, because the person I sleep with won't take any herbs, but I will diffuse these at night, which help. So things like peppermint and eucalyptus, they're in our comfort and contentment blends, also the thyme, can really help open up those air passages and prevent snoring. So what I like to do is I would love if we can come off mute and have some of you share some of your testimonials using Soul and how it has helped with any respiratory issues that you've had.
Morning, Tiffany. Thank you.
Morning,
You always
Holly.
do such an amazing job. It's
Thank
worth me
you.
getting up at the crack of ooh. And I actually have two guests, so I wanted to make sure we said good morning to Teresa and to Ronya and thank them for joining us.
Yes, thank
Teresa
you for
also got up at the
joining
crack
us.
of ooh.
I'll be right back.
Um,
I have to wake my kids up. Keep talking.
but as far as Soul Clear, this is probably my go-to for everything. I have really horrible sinus congestion, especially when I'm sleeping at night. And so it actually increases it so much sinus congestion that I'm actually snoring a lot more than I used to when I was younger and everything was, toned and all of that. But if I take Two Clear before bed, it relieves enough of the congestion and then opens up my airways enough where it decreases. It doesn't completely get rid of my snoring, I'm told. I don't know. But it actually decreases my snoring. And I have not had a sinus infection. I was like you, Tiffany. I would get sinus infections at least twice a year. And I used to go on antibiotics for them, and then we stopped because they will burn themselves out eventually. But eventually is a long time sometimes. They can last a couple of months as you let them run their course. It takes a lot to clear that out. But I haven't had one, knock on wood, since I've been on Soul, so over 2 years.
Awesome. Thank you. Who else? I know there's more of you. I don't think Sarah Spencer is on here today. I know she sometimes watches the little kids, but I know that she has had amazing results too with sinuses and allergies using Soul Clear as well. And I know Kristen Alexander talks about treating the man flu, aka common cold and flu.
Yes, I can definitely share on that. Yeah, there's no taking advantage of the man flu in my house. And the way we do that is thanks to Corinne with her awesome recommendation of hot renew and hot cinnamate, and then clear and Soul Clear. So and an extra, like just the other day, like John, my husband, has his sinuses act up, and so what the difference is they might still act up, but they're not at, he doesn't have to go on medication, but they're not as extreme as they were before. And he knows all he has to do is he might do an extra Excel. He may take, 2 Soul Clear, 3 times a day, and it's usually one day, and he's good to go. So it's pretty awesome and effective. And I know for me, if I end up feeling like a little scratch in my throat, or I feel a little congested, I will have a Soul Clear, and then by the morning it's like it's just non-existent. And just with everything going on with the pandemic, we've been doing it every day anyway, just to kind of keep, as a preventative, because obviously preventative is awesome too. So with that, it's definitely, well, all of it is something that we should really always have, but definitely something that I've only seen results quickly with it. I don't find that Soul Clear is something that takes time to work in our experience anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think knowing that prevention is really part of it, like the more you're following a healthy lifestyle, and you're less likely to, experience some of these things, is really important as well. And I think that that's why I don't really see sinus infections anymore, because I'm proactive about that. I mean, I still have some seasonal allergy things that creep in, but then I have those tools that, I can double up on my Soul Clear, or um, open it up in a hot Renew slash, I put the Renew and the Cinemate together with the Soul Clear and drink it. And that really kind of helps open things up and fix the problem, so I'm not, miserable for days.
Yep, totally. And it's all doing the, you got to do the things too. Like we can't just do this and think that it's going to come, get better. Like if you're gonna, constantly be ingesting sugar, then there's going to automatically be inflammation happening, right? So, and if you're not doing the things that you need to do, you can't expect any sort of anything to just come in and do the job on its own. Like we still need to be responsible for doing the things and being responsible for what we put in our body. So they just create a good partnership. When we can behave and do the right thing, then our body can do what it needs to do. But it's very unfair to expect our body to do the things that it needs to do if we're not helping it.
Exactly.
That's my opinion.
And what I think is amazing about adaptogens is it usually kind of inspires this, like, I don't know, I said like this effect, right? That we start to do good things for our body. And because the adaptogens help us affect the stress on our body from several different factors, then it's like we start doing one thing and it's like, oh, now I can do this, and now I can do this, and now I can do this. And it kind of,
Well, it's like a cascade effect, right?
yes, the cascade effect.
And actually, it's funny that you say that, because I'm on my second week of the balance package, and I'm like, you all know, maybe you don't, but Tiffany knows, I am like a Diet Coke junkie. And I've actually, like, naturally have decreased the amount of Diet Coke I'm taking in, um, where it's been easy. I haven't had to think about it. My body is just basically saying, no, you don't really want that.
Yeah, and I was
So,
talking to a potential client yesterday, and she's like, well, if you give me way too many things to do, I'm just not going to do it. I said, nobody does. That's why I literally start with, you're going to start taking some herbs. And she goes, well, how is that going to be? I'm like, because it's going to start this chain reaction that after a week or two, you're going to be like, oh, I'm feeling better. And now I can eat better. And now I'm going to be craving more healthy foods. And now I want to move more. And now I want to, it's going to start this chain reaction that is going to, down the road, inspire these healthy habits that come naturally.
so I wanted to read a comment, because I'm not sure if you're able to do that, but Jennifer Smith wrote, helping my kiddo with homework, but I was diagnosed with MS in June and lost vision in my right eye. And I noticed the days I take Soul Clear, it helps my vision better and my eyes don't water as much.
That's awesome. And
So
that's
that's an
the eye
amazing
bright.
testimony.
There's a reason why it's called eye bright. There's the word eye in there. It is actually great for your vision. Yeah, that's in that blend, but that's amazing.
Molly asks, does Renew have different effects when it's cold versus hot with regards to immunity?
I think it does. So I think when you're drinking it cold, it more has like a calming effect on the body. A lot of times I will drink it cold and mixed with Vital, especially if during the day I'm having anxiety. I don't know, the last couple of weeks I've had a lot more anxiety, so I'm doing that in the afternoon, mixing it together because it kind of helps with that. I think it still has some immunity effects, but I definitely think drinking it hot has a different effect, especially if you're actually dealing with an actual, respiratory or health issues. Um, it does have a different effect, hot versus cold. Both
Yep,
will
it
have a
does.
calming, but it definitely does.
Yeah, it activates the a higher level of vitamin C when it's hot.
She follows up with, can you prepare it hot and then let it cool? Are you asking, Molly, if like if you prepare it hot and then let it cool, does it have the same still have the same effects as when you drink it hot? Um,
Yeah. So I guess, sorry, I can't really chat right now, but it's more with regards to children. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have my kids do that. So I try to so I let it cool down for them because obviously they can't drink it super hot. So but
well,
yeah,
I can't drink it super hot either, so I do the same thing. But I think the difference is that when we prepare even cinnamate, but specifically here Renew, hot versus cold, that hot water activates different components of each herb and heightens those effects is the best way that I can put it. When we do it cold, those components are still there. They're just not released as I've lost my words there, but it's just not as released
not
as
as
in the
really.
same way.
Well,
Um,
it's kind of like releasing volatile oils that
that was
do a
it. Thanks,
different
Corinne.
purpose. Yeah. I know I was listening to you guys. I'm like, you guys are all so right. But it releases those volatile oils that we need. And some are more powerful for us when they're hot. Some are more powerful when they're cold. So, so that is exactly it. Also, I wanted to say, with Anthony, I remember he was out working with the cows on our friend's ranch, and he came home and he could not breathe out of either nostril. And I remember Chris and I just sitting there, and we said, "Okay, take some Soul Clear, drink a hot Renew," and he said, "Oh my gosh, how come I can breathe?" And so when Kristen said that this is one that works quickly, it really does work quickly. And especially if you open up those capsules and put it into those and make it as a tea.
Mhm.
Because we also think, have to remember, even those things are put in as capsules, sometimes it's better outside the capsule. So I love what it's done for allergies and asthma. Again, the preventative measures, just taking the So Clear SI. Remember, the SI is sinus and immune. And what are we all focusing on right now? So
And I love that the oil, there is at least one thing in every single one of these, right? That it's going to help. So if you're like, oh, but I don't have comfort or I don't have this, there is something in every single one of these blends that's going to help with the respiratory system. And so we've talked before, maybe not like one way I do it. I'll just do it again for today. I just go down both sides of my neck. Here, I usually put them on my wrists as well. And I'll just show you. I just do one swipe down my foot on each foot. And that gets into your bloodstream and starts to work. A little goes a long way. These are already diluted, so you don't have to worry about, oh, can I not put this on my kid or elderly because they need things to be diluted. They're already diluted at safe levels so that you can use them, and it makes it really, really easy to use them. That's as simple as it needs to be. A couple times a day. I mean, if you're having issues, you could do it more times a day, but it really kind of helps. And
So
then what I'll
awesome.
sometimes do is I'll sometimes even put it in my hand and just inhale deeply.
Awesome, Tiffany. And one thing too, just please don't ingest oils. Like, please don't eat them. I just wanted to say that. And that you totally covered on our oils one, but just with that, that can just not have good effects to ingest them. So many ways to use them. Just don't eat them.
Yeah. Well, and this is easy because every single one of our oils has something that's actually poisonous to consume. So, like, I don't know if poisonous is the right word, but not safe to consume. So there's no temptation there, right? So next week, we're going to talk about the cardiovascular system, and same thing. I will talk about the conditions of the cardiovascular system, herbs and essential oils that help with that. What's amazing about Soul is that our oils are super simple, right? We have 4 blends and then 4 of these that are already diluted that have a few extra things in them. So you don't have to be like a certified essential oil coach like I am to like understand how to use oils, or an aromatherapist to learn how to use oils. Of course, I know how to do all this stuff and mix all my own, but most people don't, and they need it simple. This makes it super simple. I had a really hard time kind of wrapping my head around that initially because I'm like, but, and now like the more I use them and the more I do whatever, I get it. So it makes it super simple. So we will talk about that next week. Any other additional questions, comments, concerns?
Tiffany, all that was just so awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love how you just bring everything, like you bring simplicity to it, and it's like on that level that we can all understand, because then we all get to share it like with our people and just make it easy for people to understand. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So Ronya, the reason Excel comes with 21 instead of 30 is because it has a huge effect on our hormone balance and our adrenals, and we need to be able to give them a rest. So some people do take it every day. They just order more, or they order the 100 pack, and they do fine with it. Others will skip it on weekends. Some will take the 3 weeks in a row and then take a week off. There's different ways to kind of skin a cat, if you will. But
And
that
a lot of
is,
women will like take the week off of their menstrual period if that's that's usually when they take the week
so
off.
yeah, if that's a thing for them,
If that's a thing, it's not for me.
that's
But
not a thing for all of us anymore.
no, I just wanted to mention that in case it was a thing for somebody on the call, and then
Yeah.
usually a good time to take a break. So
Yeah, and Molly said she also does a half a pack.
yeah, I
Angela
frequently will take
says
half a pack as well.
maca works better in the body that way when you reintroduce it back into the body. So taking a week off because it has the maca in it. But then you have those of us who take maca, like 6 times a day just because, hot flashes and stuff. No, joking, only twice a day.
You mean you're not like,
Oh, believe me, when there was a point in time that I was literally just emptying the bottle into my body. Yeah.
oh my gosh, the other night my sister comes over and she has like this cute little hoodie on and a t-shirt, and next thing you know, she just starts ripping it off, and then like she's like opening my patio door, and I was like, what is with you? She's like, hot flash. I was like,
Oh God, if you
like,
have never
oh my God.
experienced a hot
Like it
flash,
just hit me like boom. And I was like, oh my
it
goodness.
literally is like someone took a fire, like in a train, like a steam engine train, and all of a sudden just deep down stoked that fire up, and you can feel it building from your toes all the way up, and it's all consuming. It's like you have an inferno inside of you. And as quickly as it comes, it goes away. My worst hot flashes were when I was pregnant, and
Hmm.
they would happen. I worked in the NICU, and every time I would sit down and pick up a cute little bundle to feed, as soon as I would sit down and start feeding, I literally would light up with flames. I mean, I'm sure I was it Jack in The Incredibles? I would just burst.
Yeah.
Was my superpower.
Hey, do
Maca
you
does
want me
help.
to?
Go
Do you
ahead.
guys want me to? I just wanted to know if you wanted me to stop recording.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Maca does help with fertility, but not necessarily in the way you're thinking, Ronya. When maca is a huge aphrodisiac.